Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
On the economy, now and in the future, there is only one difference between Mr. Biden and Kamala Harris: 22 years of age. That's it. Electing Ms. Harris will be re-electing Joe Biden with one difference.
This is a chance to bring out that joy, turn the page, and look to the future.
A generalized gripe among Republicans is that other than price controls on food, Ms. Harris is hiding her intentions behind a smile. That isn't true.
She was part of the most pro-union administration in American history.
Vice President Harris is a traditional spend and tax Democrat, and there is nothing hidden about her intentions.
The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative, and the bill, as amended, is passed.
Ms. Harris brags that she cast the tie-breaking vote for the Inflation Reduction Act, whose climate-related spending totaled some $370 billion.
She cast the tie-breaking vote to send interest rates and mortgages through the roof.
And Democrats like Ms. Harris recognize growing public dissatisfaction with annual federal spending. So her own list of spending proposals, much like the Inflation Reduction Act, has been rerouted into tax credits and subsidies. Ms. Harris assumes that some voters think such tax benefits arrive from beyond the rainbow.
And by the end of my first term, we will end America's housing shortage by building 3 million new homes and rentals that are affordable for the middle class.
The housing plan she recently campaigned on features an array of federal tax subsidies. For housing developers, she'd expand the current low-income housing tax credit and create a new tax credit for building starter homes. Meanwhile, first-time homebuyers would benefit from a $25,000 tax credit to cover the down payment costs.
What we're doing in terms of the tax credits, we know that there's a great return on that investment. When we increase home ownership in America, what that means in terms of increasing the tax base, not to mention property tax base, what that does to fund schools, again, return on investment.
Ms. Harris negates the cost of these outlays as a, quote, return on investment. That includes her plan to make the existing child tax credit fully refundable and increase it for a child's first year to $6,000.
The child tax credit and extending the EITC. It's at $6,000 for the first year of a child's life. The return on that investment in terms of what that will do and what it will pay for will be tremendous. We've seen it when we did it in the first year of our administration. We reduced child poverty by over 50%.
The Beltway term of art for measures like this is tax expenditures. And if enacted, Harris's tax expenditures would effectively become mandatory federal spending outside political control. The $25,000 home buying credit would push prices higher.
You know, our big thing is no taxes on tips, so no taxes on tips. There we go. That's for you.
Thank you so
God bless you guys. Thank you.
We're all set on
Republicans, too, have joined the tax expenditure game. Trump running mate Senator J.D. Vance said on Face the Nation recently that he and Donald Trump would love to see a child tax credit that's $5,000 per child. Mr. Trump himself has proposed eliminating taxes on Social Security benefits. But the opposition is at least starting to push back on the notion that the Kamala Waltz ticket offers something new.
My favorite line from Kamala is she says, if you elect her president, she is going to fix it all on day one. Well, Kamala, I hate to break it to you, but day one was 1,300 days ago. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. What the hell have you been doing during all that time?
It's a fair point, because there's another glaring Harris mirror image. Joe Biden's proposed spending plan for fiscal year 2025 totals $7.3 trillion, nearly 25% of GDP. One may assume Ms. Harris would not reduce that staggering outlay by a penny.
The sugar high on this economy is wearing off. All the money that Biden and Harris had doled out to really buy votes in a lot of different ways is starting to wear out. Unemployment's going up. And that's what this race needs to be about. It needs to be about the economy, cost, the 40-year high inflation that really Joe Biden and Kamala Harris created. They're taking credit now for inflation going down. Hell, they created it to start with.
On taxation, the Harris campaign has been telling reporters that most of her ideas can be found in Mr. Biden's 2025 budget proposal, which includes some $5 trillion in tax increases over 10 years. That includes pushing up the top rate on personal income to 39%. And she'd pursue the longtime goal of the Democratic left, taxing unrealized capital gains.
When Reagan came into office, actually, the top income tax rate in the United States was 70%. 70%. When he left office, the highest rate was 28%. That's a very dramatic reduction in taxes. And yet, guess what happened to tax revenues? They went up. They went way up.
There you go.
And the rich paid more taxes. Yeah, and by the way, there's a curve behind this that you know about, actually. It's called the Laffer curve. Sometimes when you can cut tax rates, you get more economic activity, more investment, the economy does better, you get more revenues.
Rather than accept Ms. Harris's return on investment response to her spend and tax agenda, the media needs to dig deeper. And the most relevant question could not be simpler. Can you tell me one way in which you disagreed with Biden on spending and taxes the past 3.5 years? But then we already know the answer.
The most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.